what's going on, everybody? I'm jumping out of my seat. I'm excited about this morning because we're going to show you someone who is already using the business model or the business models, the core four that we teach here at Legendary. And she's built up a wonderful, beautiful business. And here's the cool thing. We can all see from this morning's guest that I didn't invent these strategies, nor have I ever tried to take credit for them. I've just been saying, hey, these strategies over here are what I've been using when I was an old broke construction worker, to build an actual life and actually, ironically, become an educator, even though I was also a high school dropout. But there's also a lot of other people around the world who are doing it too. And so please help me give a warm, legendary welcome to this morning's guest, Krista from Motherhood Simplified. What's going on, Krista?
Hi. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm totally excited too. Tell me where you're calling in from.
I am in Ohio.
Okay, nice.
Rainy.
Yeah.
Ohio.
I'm in Florida, so St. Petersburg, Florida. And so, yeah, cool. So we're in the country. We're not, do you travel at all? Have you worked with this business because it's virtual? Have you worked and lived anywhere else?
Yeah, actually, I was born and raised in Alaska. And then in 2013, my husband and I moved actually to Florida, and we were right around the corner from you in Riverview. So then we went to Idaho, Southern California. Now we're in Ohio and probably staying here because our kids' ages, they need stability. I wish I was in Florida.
Yeah. No, I get it about staying put. Like, even though we run this virtual business, that we really can work from anywhere, travel, and kind of be a lot more flexible. The rest of the world is kind of catching up to what we've been doing right now, depending on when you started. I've been doing this for 10 years. But you're right. When you have children, sometimes, like my wife and I have too, decided to plan, to not travel and not to kind of to just vacation and travel, that way, versus the kind of some folks who take it to an extreme and live on the road with their kids.
Yeah, we tried that too. It was not.
I
feel like it's over. Yeah, like we were like, we can do it for a year, and we made it like 5 months. It's not what it seems like. And even with my job being so flexible, like it wasn't for me. Obviously, it's for other people, but for us, I was like, we just need roots, and then we can go, like you said, we can travel for fun instead of like traveling to move and uproot ourselves every time.
Yeah,
I like that better.
So, look, I'm somebody who really got started in this business as I was getting clean. I had been clean for about a year. I had an opiate. That makes it sound better than it was. It was a heroin addiction, and I got clean. And then I started working with my father at age 24. I'm now 38. And so I didn't like that. Didn't want to be outside in the hot Florida sun. And so I found this, and it changed my life. And now I'm like I said, a teacher, an educator, I guess, if you say. I don't call myself a mentor or a guru, just somebody who has some information that's learned how to package it and make a living off of it. What's your story? How did you get into this?
Yeah. Well, first, congrats on your sobriety, because I know that's a huge deal. I love that. I did not know that part of your story. And yeah, I think that's amazing. But I'm also a teacher by trade. I went to school to be a teacher. And the year I graduated and got my first teaching job, I realized very quickly it was not for me. I was looking around at these other teachers who had been teaching for like decades, and that made me freak out. I did not want to be in the same room every day, doing the same thing every day. And so I actually went out and opened up my own small preschool. And that was my first in Alaska. That was my first experience in entrepreneurship and realizing that I'm not meant to be an employee. And then, like I said, in 2013, my husband and I moved from Alaska to Florida. Very short notice, in like about 6 weeks time from deciding to actually doing it. I left my business behind, and the thing that I accidentally discovered was that because we were really broke, we only brought one suitcase each for each of our 3 kids, was how much easier my life as a mom became because my house was easy to maintain. I definitely don't recommend people only having a suitcase of stuff, But yeah, we got to Florida. Life got really easy. I had left my business behind. And so I had to work I was doing 2 teaching jobs basically for private schools to make ends meet, just because I had to do what I had to do. And in that time, because my house was so supportive of me, I actually had time and energy and space, like after the kids went to bed, to daydream and plan and experiment on things and figure out what I actually wanted to do. And I started a few blogs. Do I want to do teaching blogs? Do I want to do parenting blogs? I didn't like those because I don't know. I just didn't. And then about in 2017, I got pregnant with our 4th baby. We have 5 kids total. And I don't know. What was that?
God bless you.
I know it's a lot.
How you do it. I mean, my wife and I have 2 small ones at home, and I mean, it's like a full-time job. I mean, it really is. It's unbelievable. But, well, it's a wonderful thing that we have you on the call this morning, because not only can you show us about your business, you can also teach us your parenting tricks. So continue.
Yeah. I mean, and with that many kids, I realized that if I wanted to have a career for myself and I wanted to provide for my kids myself, I had to figure out a creative way to do it. And that, so I got pregnant. I joined a Facebook group of other moms who were due at the same time, and we all got really close. And after we had our babies, we started doing this thing called house tours, where we would go live inside of the Facebook group and show each other our houses so that we could all feel better. Like, we're drowning in these messes and toys and chaos. And when it got to be my turn, they were all like, Krista, like, we all agreed we wouldn't stage our houses. We would just show the real messes, because my house is pretty clean for having 4 kids. And it was then that I realized, watching videos of their houses, not in a judgmental way, but that used to be our house too. Like, we used to have never ending dishes, like laundry, living out of laundry baskets, or laundry on the couch, or laundry on the beds, or whatever, toys everywhere, just all of the time. And I just asked them, like, do you want me to help you figure out how to have less stuff? Because that was really the key. I could learn that in hindsight. I didn't become really great at cleaning my house or having a chore chart. I just had less stuff to manage. So that was my thing. I kind of knew it intuitively and opened up a Facebook group and started showing them how. And yeah, it's grown to like over 50,000 members total in about 4 years, all organically.
Yeah, your Facebook group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put that up so people can find that as well. So, wow. So you never intended on now, how are you, just so we understand the big picture, how did you begin to monetize the business, and how do you monetize the business now?
Okay, so I have only ever had evergreen courses. And when I opened up my Facebook group at that time, like I said, I had dabbled in blogging and podcasting, and I knew that I had found something that I could do long term. But I also knew that I didn't have time or the bandwidth to do like one-on-one coaching with people. It didn't make sense to do that virtually. It's easier to do it with them. And so I got them into the group, and I just asked them, like, here's some ground rules for how we're going to treat each other. It's kind of a sensitive subject when we're sharing our homes, and moms especially internalize that and make it mean something about them. So set some ground rules for like decency, respect, showed them how to ask questions, knowing that they would start interacting with each other, but I could use that as my market research for what are they actually struggling with? What are their pain points? What are their hurdles? What are their roadblocks? Create dialogue around it, and then offer them solutions in the form of, I ran them as live challenges first, kind of like what you do. And, just to get people through it and figure out how to walk them through the process and troubleshoot it and make sure I actually know what I'm doing and it's making sense. Did that for free a couple times, and then packaged it up into a little mini course. I think the first one I sold was $7 just to see if I could sell it. Yeah. And I made like $100 in a day. And I was like, I did it. This is it.
Yeah.
And then just continued to get people into that, like that mini thing, and letting it grow and asking them the questions, encouraging them to interact with each other and creating the solutions. And now I still sell the same course. It's been updated and revised continuously because that's what you have to do. And it's a $300 course now. And that's all I've ever sold.
Yeah. And is that your only offer? Is that the only, do you have any affiliate offers? Do you have any other streams of income within the same business?
I have some mini courses. So if you don't want to do your whole house, I have a toy course and a clothes course
Like
because
a
for
light?
moms, that's what they need. Yeah. And
Okay.
actually, I've done some affiliates for other people in adjacent categories, like moms want simplifying meal plans or
Yeah.
um, things like that. It's a little bit of an income, but
Yeah.
then what actually ended up happening organically was the moms liked it so much that they're actually affiliates for me and they just recommend it to their friends. And they don't
Nice.
have, most of them don't have businesses themselves. They're just recommending it to their neighbor.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah.
Well, that's how we all start, right? We start by kind of tapping into our kind of warm market, and then that either runs out, we've sold everybody, or we've sold them everything we've ever had for sale, and they've supported us, and we kind of said, well, maybe it's time we go out and learn how to get some real customers here, or we just have a bad experience. A lot of us, have you had any bad experiences with any home businesses or anything that left a bad taste in your mouth, or something that you failed at that maybe it hurts your confidence? It hurts your, your confidence that you could actually do this.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing for me were the failed blogs that I had before where I didn't know what I was doing. I would just do kind of embarrassing things like write these blogs. I didn't know what I was writing about. And I would like take pictures from Google and use them on my blog. And people are like, you can't do that. Like, that's actually, a form of online theft. I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't know that.
That's how
I'm
I
just
started
trying
too.
to, yeah,
If you're
I
not
did
getting
not
a
know
few
that.
cease and desist letters at the beginning of your career, then you're not being aggressive enough.
Right. Yeah. Um, and I think for me, the hardest part is like finding the balance of like putting myself out there as a mom, sharing parts of my story as a mom, and then opening myself up to be critiqued for that, which I think is one of the reasons I didn't like doing parenting is like I almost view parenting on the same level as like religion and politics, like it's deeply personal.
Hmm.
And, I've had people who message me and say things like, I'm depriving my kids, or um, I'm like, well, I'm not. But I think that's the most discouraging part. But also, I think
For
I'm at a
you,
state
or for them?
for me.
Yeah.
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 You know, f um,
And
but
you're struggling with different things at this point than you were at the beginning, right? I mean, a lot of our people are struggling with kind of just getting over the initial fear of launching something or getting on video. And one of the points, I love that you brought that up, because one of the points that I always make is get used to being uncomfortable and overcoming challenges, because once you overcome that challenge of getting on video, whatever you're afraid of, you're certainly going to have other things that are going to pop up, such as the example that you just gave, which is a much deeper. It's like, gosh, people are not getting results, or they're not right. You begin to take things personal, and the problems never stop. But I think, how have you reframed? Did you always have a positive outlook, or how have you looked at challenges so that they didn't break you down, but instead they, in a way, broke you down, but you allowed them to build you up?
yeah. So, yes, I think there's always a degree of the people who buy your stuff who just aren't going to get results. And it's nothing to do with the product that you have. And I've definitely had that a couple times. I've had people who, will buy it and then because it's an online product, take it all and then file a dispute with PayPal, which is like, what the heck? Like, why would you do that? And then they'll send an email, about how terrible it was, or it hasn't happened a lot. It's very small, but like you said, you're always going to have that small percentage, and those are discouraging. And then I think there is another percentage that you will always have where your content is really great and people just need a different kind of support than what you're able to give. And
Mm,
me being able to accept that was a big deal. And I've learned how to kind of reframe it for those moms, especially because they're like, I got this. I know that it would work. I know that if I could just figure out how to do it, it would be amazing, but I just can't figure out how to do it. And I think that's part of the process with anything. Like sometimes you have to experiment. Like maybe you needed a one-on-one person, or maybe in, our case of what I do, you need somebody to come into your house actually with you and to do it with you. And that's okay. But I've been able to create an environment in response to that where I've been able to, set up like a decluttering calendar with them so that they can
Yeah.
get together with other moms and do it together.
Yeah.
Because I can't actually go to their houses with them, but I can create, an added layer of accountability for the people who are already there in the, in the ecosystem that I've
Yeah.
created. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
How important do you think a lot of our students and clients are using short form video because that's what's hot right now? TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels. These are all strategies that were not around when I first started, and I oftentimes find myself talking in a way that like a grandpa would, like, back in my day, we used to have to walk both ways uphill. But it's true. When I started, pretty much the only option was either long form YouTube videos or blogging. And so, can you just give us first of all, can you remind me when you got started? And can you give everybody who just got started this year a little bit of a look back at what it's been like? And where do you think it's going? Or how do you make sense of all the changes that happen in this business? Because there's so many changes, and a lot of the old principles and strategies that have always worked still work. And so it's like we get a lot of clients who get caught up in the mechanics. I call it. It's the mechanics of how does this platform work or whatever, versus the dynamics, which is a lot of what you're talking about. How to win friends and influence people. How do I make people feel comfortable? How do I communicate, whether it be in person or on video? A lot of it's the same stuff. How do I make people feel comfortable and safe to want to learn from me? So even though a lot of the things have changed on the internet, what is still the same? What do people need to know to be able to succeed back when you started? But also, what do they need to know to succeed? What is the same now that they can use to succeed that will always be a timeless principle?
Yeah. So I think the thing that is always going to be the same, and I love this question because I've been diving into how to figure out how to use Reels and all that in my business too. But the thing that's always going to be the same, no matter what, across any business, literally anywhere, anytime, is that your people need to know that you understand them. And the way that they know that you understand them is by very clear messaging. And, do you understand what their day-to-day life looks like? For moms, especially, and I know you have kids too, right? So, people need to know that you understand running a business with kids. And that's a different thing than running a business without kids.
True.
Yeah, they need to know that you understand them. And they need to know that you understand their problem, right? It's not enough to just understand them as a person. They need to know that you understand their problem, and they need to believe that you are the person to solve their problem. And they need to believe that you are the person to solve their problem now, not later, because you can convince them on those first three things and they're going to go find somebody else to solve it now. So those are the things that I think are always timeless. And when it comes to like the logistics of platforms, I started my current business in 2018. But prior to that, I had dabbled in blogging and podcasting, and things were longer form then. And I think that everybody should start with creating longer form content, not necessarily because people are going to go watch all of that content, but because it's going to give you experience in actually speaking out your message. Like I can listen back to my podcast, my very first podcast that would be 30 minutes. And now I can say the exact same thing in 8 to 10 minutes rather than 30 minutes.
Well, I haven't got there yet. I wish I adopted or adapted that skill, but I'm still very long-winded. Maybe it's just that I have more to say, who knows, but I get it. Sometimes your communication gets more concise. I'd say mine's got more clear. My messaging, wow, it's like I didn't realize how unclear I was about who I was trying to talk to, what I was trying to say, and what I thought that the solution was. Meaning that, not only was I unclear about my customer, but I was doing so many different things over here in my business that I wasn't really showing the marketplace any consistency that they could trust or rely on. So I want to, one keyword, and we interview students on the show every day. And of course, you're an outsider. You're somebody who we went and sought out, who didn't particularly come up through the legendary community, but we thought it would be a valuable conversation to bring in somebody who's already running our business model out, with some slight tweaks. You're doing some of the older school strategies, and that's cool. And they're working for you. And guess what? They still work if anybody wants to go and start a YouTube channel or go and start a blog. However, there's this, the principles are the same, and a lot of all of this boils down to not production quality, not how many Lamborghinis you're standing in front of, or in your case, how many perfect little children with a beautiful house you're standing in front of to show everybody how perfect of a solution you could sell them. People's, forgive my language, built-in bullshit detector starts going off when that is your marketing message. So how did you get comfortable in your own skin? Or, because I don't care if you're talking to moms or you're talking to entrepreneurs, I sit right here sometimes in a shirt that I just picked up off of the floor. You saw me. I'm breaking into my office house this morning trying to get on this call and everything. I mean, it's taken me a while to really get comfortable in my own skin and just sit here every day, not need to be out, going live in front of the G-Wagon and being because I talk to entrepreneurs, but human beings want to put on that front to come across better, more, all-knowing, more of an expert, whatever. Now, I tell affiliate marketers, you don't need to be the expert. It's not good if you come across as the expert, because they're going to judge you. Let them judge the product creator, who's probably has a more seasoned pitch. But you are a course creator, and so that's fine. You went right into course creating. You probably had to even get more comfortable in your skin even faster because they were judging you as the actual expert. Can you talk to us? How did you get comfortable in your own skin in front of the world?
Yes. I think the biggest driver behind that was that I had to. We had 4 kids, and I yanked myself out of teaching pretty suddenly because I didn't want to do that. We still needed an income. My husband, he had a job, or he's always been an entrepreneur too. And I was like, I was helping him, to kind of support that business to get it up and running.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the baby, the 4th baby. We have 5 total.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't help him anymore because he's in insurance. It's more professional. I'm like, they can't hear babies in the background. It's not going to work. There are certain industries where I think
nobody thinks that's cute. They're like, oh, all the corporate people are like, oh, shut those kids up.
Right.
Entrepreneurs are like, hey, shut the kids up, and everybody's like, we don't even hear kids anymore, right? They're always there.
Yeah, and yeah. So I mean, it was a lot of desperation. I think I had to figure something out, and I had to figure something out creatively. And like I said, I had that moment in that due date group with my mom friends where I was like, I have a solution. I've mastered this accidentally after we moved from Alaska to Florida. I've spent the last 5 years accidentally mastering making my house really easy to be in. I'm going to teach.
Which, by the way, whether
Right.
it was the truth or not, is the best pitch. It's like, I accidentally stumbled upon the secret. It's the reluctant hero,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but it really was. It was like, we got to get Alaska to Florida. We're too broke to bring it literally across the continent. We're starting over. And it was the best thing ever for my motherhood. And like I said, I accumulated more stuff because one suitcase of stuff is not enough. But yeah, I accidentally figured it out. And I was like, this is a thing. I know I can do it. And I know that I don't, I have one baby. And then I got pregnant pretty soon. We had 2 under 2 by surprise. And I was like, I really have to figure this out. And so it was like, I'm going to go live every day because I'm going to have to communicate my message. I have to figure out, I have to get to know these people. And so I'm going live.
Yes.
Yes.
Live
video is my favorite.
The most powerful thing, because your ass is there. You can't run. We're here. We can't go, oh, stop, we'll do this over. And you know what? After a session or two, I feel like you just kind of get comfortable because you're like, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Who gives a crap? I don't need to explain it. It's a phenomenon. It's just you're a human being, and it's uncomfortable as hell when you do something at first, especially if there's people looking at you. And then it just gets easier. Do you have a better way to explain that to our clients who have yet to take that? Then it just gets easier when you do it, and it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable at first. I don't know. I want to sugarcoat that. I want to be like, it's fine, you guys. It's no big deal. But the truth is they get to doing it. It's like they start sweating and they got to go to the bathroom. And it's like, it does suck the first couple of times. You're scared shitless, and then you're not.
Yeah. I think it is it's probably one of the more vulnerable ways to put yourself out there online, because it is in real time. But it's one of the most powerful. Like you said, yeah, it's scary, but like what is actually going to happen? Like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? I will tell you, I went live breastfeeding my baby. So the worst that could possibly happen happened. Okay. Like you don't need to know the details. It just happened. Okay. And it wasn't a big deal. Nobody died. And I know that's not like a great.
Everybody's imagination's running wild. And that's you're a great marketer. You're a natural because, it's you have all these natural little hooks. And speaking of hooks, this is a very I've been a copywriter for 12 years. It's kind of how I got started. I started kind of writing, and I realized that the words on the page mattered. And back, sorry, I've got some work going on, so hopefully, it's not kids, it's just blowers and stuff outside. There were people doing work outside as I'm trying to like break in my office house, and they're looking at me. I look half homeless. They're going, "Is this guy supposed to be here? Who is this guy?
Is this his house?"
Yeah. So I was going to say something, but it was about hooks. Yeah. So I realized that the words on the page mattered, like the copy, it mattered. And I actually could say less if my writing, my copy was good. It was better, right? I didn't have to say as much. And then I even realized that if I wanted to be really on purpose with every word, and I do know some people who are, I could even script out videos. I could perform them. The video sales letter that sells our $7 challenge, is a sales letter that I wrote out, and then I rehearsed the voiceover, and then we put graphics over it. So you've used writing, the written word, in your blog post in a way that you deliver your content. How have you used copy or words to persuade? And what is your outlook on the importance of copy in learning to write persuasively, whether that be on a sales page and you're selling a course, or whether that be via your emails or even your social media posts? What's been what is copywriting? What role has it played in your business, and how has your relationship developed with it?
This is a fun question, because this year has been me distilling basically 4 years of my written content. And like you said, I would write long things. And it was almost like every single time I'd get to the end of the blog and it was like, oh, that's what I'm trying to say. And I think the way that I've been able to become persuasive and specifically increase my sales, right? Because like that's the point of my business is to increase my sales, that have done a lot better this year, is finding those key points that kind of go back to what we were talking about. Like, what do people need? Like, what are the things that are always the same? They need to be understood. And so I use reels, actually. Obviously reels are great to create engagement and gain awareness, but I use reels to practice my messaging, like point of what I want to say, so that my audience feels like I either understand them, I understand their problem.
I'm good, but Krista's frozen, it looks like. We'll try to get her back.
Oh,
hold on a second. You're back now.
Back. Okay.
Yeah.
That was weird. But I don't know.
I lost you at reels. So you said that we were talking about copy and your relationship and how it's, You're froze now again. Sorry, everybody. Okay, you're back now.
No.
So I lost you at
Yeah.
Reels. That's where I lost you.
Yes. So I use how quickly I can get to the point. Like how are we still cutting out?
No, you're good.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, okay. There's like weird weather going on. I think it's affecting it. But I use my reels to kind of distill my messaging. How fast can I get to the point? Like how quickly can I make my audience either feel understood? How can I make them feel like I understand their problem? How can I help them feel like I have a solution to their problem right now? And if I can say that, if I can say what I used to say in 30 minutes, in 30 seconds, I kind of practice that. And then I can play with that and expand on that in, sales pages that need to be a little bit longer, emails that need to be a little bit, more engaging, blog posts that need to be longer so that I can get better SEO reach, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, copy is really everything, but it is something that you have to practice over time. And if you can practice it in different versions, whether it's writing it down, speaking it out on a podcast or a live video, especially, like I said, it's so vulnerable. And I think that's really where a lot of the power comes from, is letting yourself be seen vulnerably. And you do it a few times and it's not so bad. Then yeah, I think that would be,
even the headline in your video is important. Even the headline on your reel. We underestimate the power of words, and because we're such a video centric online marketplace and everything is dominated by video, whether it's long form video on YouTube, now short form video, it's just video. And we are, as a community of marketers, we are overlooking and forgetting the power of copy. And it's not anybody's fault and nobody's doing anything wrong. It's just that video works so well. And we tend to, as human beings, want to sensationalize something and it to be kind of our one hit wonder. And it's not. It's, as you said, even, or I said, videos can be scripted and headlines are important. And really a lot can be accomplished with, as you said, a lot less as we start to perfect our message. So, you've talked about saying less and trying to distill your message down by practicing using reels. I used to, when I first started, I did webinars, and, I would make a big deal in my house. Like I'm a hot shot and everybody needs to be quiet starting at 8:00 because I'm doing a webinar. And then I'd start it and, nobody would show up. And, but I'd still deliver it because I had too much pride to tell my wife that nobody was on. So I'd be like, we got a packed house tonight, and I'd deliver the whole thing and practice it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot. That's one of the things that I relate to. And I really celebrate that Gary Vee says, which is create the content and post it, even if it's for one person. Even if only one person views it. And I think a lot of us get so discouraged because we've already felt like a number our whole lives. That's a common feeling. And now online, we're just numbers too. How many likes did we get? How many followers do we get? How do you maintain a strong and healthy self-esteem surrounded by all of this opportunity to compare yourself?
Oh, okay. Great question. And I have also delivered webinars to myself because nobody showed up. Very embarrassing, very discouraging. But again, just like taking it as an opportunity to practice, I think is very helpful. And the way that I stopped myself from comparing people was, for about the first 18 months of my business, I did not follow a single person who was in the same area as me, decluttering,
in the
minimalism.
same niche.
Yeah, organizing.
Hold on a second. I gotta throw the hat. Golly! Holy smoke! You just dropped a boulder right there. That's, that was something. I had to throw the hat on that one. To
wait, why? Tell me why.
Well, I mean, first of all, whenever there's a real gem, I gotta just celebrate.
That
I
was
don't know.
it.
That's it, man. But here's the thing. It's just you said something right there, and I don't want you to stop the thought, but you don't follow anybody in the same niche. And I did the same thing when I started. I followed and got my inspiration from people in other niches. So when I was a regular person too, but I was just pulling my inspiration. I had no new ideas. I was just pulling my inspiration from a different niche. So my stuff looked different. That's why I had
Yeah.
to celebrate that.
Yay.
Continue. You're on it. I mean, geez, you don't have a hat to throw, but I know you'd throw it if you did. So
Yeah.
you were looking and getting inspiration from other niches. What happened
Yeah.
next?
Well, I would like to say I was doing it on purpose, but the reason that I did that is because it did fill me with a lot of insecurity. It filled me with a lot of doubt. It made me question those strong opinions and beliefs that I have now about my niche. We're
Yeah.
getting, I'd watch other people and be like, oh, well, they do it this way, or they talk about it this way, or they have this opinion. Maybe I should also have that. And I wanted to get very clear on my own messaging, and I wanted to be able to infuse it with my story and my experience of moving Alaska to Florida, right? Like that's a good story in itself,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough. I wanted to be like, I wanted to understand like what happened? Like, why didn't we reaccumulate all of our clutter? Why, how did my relationship with my kids change? How did my relationship with my husband change? And when I was watching all of these other people talking about the same thing, it's way too easy to compare yourself. It's way too easy to absorb their message as your own. Like I've seen lots of people, because after I had gotten enough sales and created my own stuff and I felt confident enough in that, then I started looking to see what other people do, for the purpose of collaborations, what kind of gaps can we fill for each other? How can we cross pollinate markets and things like that? I forgot what I was saying, but it was, it was too easy to kind of take that on. And I didn't want to
Yeah.
do that. I didn't want to feel bad about myself. I didn't want to feel like I was behind,
Yeah.
especially because I was doing this. I had a baby when I started. She was 6 months old, and then I got pregnant. And so I was doing it while I was pregnant and then breastfeeding again. Like
Yeah.
my journey has been slower.
Well, just dealing with life and feelings and everything after that, and then you, which I don't know, can't speak about, not going to mansplain what women go through after pregnancy, but my wife had her struggles, and man, oh man, then we come online and it's nothing but a million opportunities a second to compare ourselves and absolutely start to pile on the inadequacies and how we're not good enough and how we don't have enough followers. I love, 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 love the suggestion and the idea and the reminder of really cutting out the noise from your own niche, because you're right. It's so much it's so much more difficult to compare yourself to somebody in a different niche, because although they may be using the identical strategies, it's just the topic. You're less personal, because I think we get so personal about our business that it's so easy to just take it on and be like, oh, well, I don't sound like him, or I don't sound. I mean, it's just men do it too. Men are probably just as bad or worse than, I would guess, than women about comparing ourselves and piling on.
Yeah. And I remember this really funny thing that I saw happen. There's somebody who's in the same niche as me. She's on paper more, she's further along than I am. She's got multiple 7-figure business doing basically the same thing that I do. And I've
Mhm.
seen a couple other bloggers and podcasters who have taken her stuff verbatim, basically, and written the same exact things. And it was just kind of confirmation. Like, I'm so glad that I cut that noise out so that I could get really clear on my message, so that, because
Mm,
eventually you get to a point where you do need to branch out and talk to people in the same arena as you,
yeah.
just for growth opportunities, collaboration style opportunities. Um, and I think that if I hadn't done that, there would be no way for me to stand out, because we would all be regurgitating the same message basically. And I know so clearly now how I can differentiate myself from people who are doing the same things, sell, the same type of course, who
Yeah.
talk about the same kind of thing in my own unique way.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to that copy, whether it's your written copy or a video sales letter copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your message or your messaging is really something that you can come up with at the very beginning, and most likely it's your most simplest, most, the idea that you were most passionate about. And we wrote this F average, be legendary. I mean, that's one of the things that I've said for a while. We've got a tagline on the front of our website, which is, online marketing delivered simply and with integrity. And I think I wrote that line 6 years ago, something like that. It's still true today. I haven't thought of a better one, and it's not deviating away from those ideas and sticking with them. That a lot of times, and I like what you said, getting quieting your space and cutting out the noise so you can get clear on what you want to say, what you want your message to be. A lot of people just say, Krista, teach me the strategy. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. It's almost like this kind of like, I don't know. There's obviously different people have different intentions, or they're coming from different places, but whatever their intention is, whether they're just so tired, whether they're lazy, I don't know. Whether they've been done wrong legitimately and they've been victimized, I don't know. But they come with an attitude. A lot of people come with an attitude of, and I'm sure they do it in the parenting space as well, which is just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And what I tell people is you got to participate in your own success. You can't get mad about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. How do you explain the work to your clients or to your audience, and also remind them that it's going to be hard, but it'll be worth it?
I speak to them on this in the form of momentum, of just like building any kind of momentum you possibly can. So when it comes to decluttering the space, I literally tell them, just pick one thing on your kitchen counter that has been sitting there that you don't need or whatever, and throw it away, and then do it again and do it again and do it again. And when it comes to your business, the same thing is true. And you kind of touched on it earlier, where, create content, even if it's for one person, create content, even if it's for nobody, because online content is almost all of it is evergreen to some degree. And that's how you get started. You just write the stuff. You just write the post, you write the email, you write the blog, you make the sales page, you record the video, you go live, you just do it and build that momentum. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people. And I've got my own experiences with this too, where, there are some times where it's like, you just can't figure out how to do something. You just can't figure out how to take a step. And I think that's okay. Maybe it's because you're trying to take a step you're not ready for. Maybe it's you need to take a step in a different direction. Maybe it's a simpler step or smaller step. Maybe you're taking the steps for the wrong reason, which I've done too. I've like hired people thinking I hired a copywriter thinking it was going to be the person that made me successful. And it was like, that did not work. And it's because I hired them with the intention of thinking they'll just do this for me and it will work. And that wasn't enough, So yeah, just any small thing you can do. You can't create anything if you're not moving. You can't. And it doesn't mean that you have to sprint or run. Like I definitely couldn't do that to that degree when I'm, literally giving birth. I had to slow down, but there were still things I could do, right? Yeah. I was still able to create engagement within my community. I was still able to focus on the, what was already there. It was just slower steps. And I knew it wouldn't be forever. So even if your steps right now are small, it won't be like that forever.
What would you say to the word consistency? And I may have brought this up, but maybe I didn't ask it clearly enough, but you're alluding to it right now. And I want to make sure that I get your take on this, because what we find is a lot of people who say, well, I've been doing this for 2 weeks, or I've been doing this for 2 months, or whatever it is. Or I've been doing it for 9 months. But if we take a deeper look, there's not consistency. It's sporadic. It's a splatter here. It's a dabble there. It's you remembered, so you logged in and did something, and maybe you were excited about it for 3 days, but then, and if we're, once we dig, we can get to the truth, but that doesn't matter. Everybody has to live with their own truth, right? We have to our success is in part going to be dependent upon how honest we are, how honest we are with people that we're both trying to sell to, but also those who were asking for help. But consistency pops up. Consistency, and it pops up with a lot of our successful students. They say, you know what, Dave, I don't really know the secret to my success, but I know that I've just been consistent every day in doing, what I think I'm supposed to be doing. I just keep doing until I'm proven that this is absolutely not the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, versus sitting and not getting started because I'm not sure what the right first step is, right? See, there's a massive difference there. Obviously, getting started or starting over, taking the first step is the biggest step. But this consistency piece, you alluded to it. Do you have any examples of how consistency has paid off in a massive way for your business?
Yes. Yeah. Consistency is definitely essential. And I think the difference is consistency of thought versus consistency of actually taking action. Because a lot of people think, oh, I've been consistent, right? I've been thinking about all of the things I'm going to do every day. I've been logging in and planning the things that I'm going to do every day. I've been planning the course. I've been planning the webinar. I've been planning all of these things, but not actually doing anything. And when I first started my business, I committed to going live every single day, Monday through Friday, every single day for 90 days. And I committed to that because I was like, I want this to work. I think I'm a good balance of like intuitive and logical. And I had an intuitive feeling of like, this is what I'm going to do that works, that sticks. I enjoy it. I'm good at it. I believe in it. So I want to stick with it. And so, yeah, I committed to doing a live video every day for 90 days. And I knew that it would build engagement. I knew that it would get my face in front of people. I knew it would get me out of my shell. I knew it would give me clarity in what the heck it was that I was actually talking about.
What you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, what I was trying to say. And I was like, I don't know why I picked 90 days, probably because that's what everybody talks about, right? Like 30 days, 90 days, whatever.
I give that suggestion, so it's in line with my suggestion.
Yeah, I don't know why it's the 90 days, but I was like, I'm going to do it. And I ended up loving it so much and seeing so much traction that I stuck with it until I got pregnant. And then I got tired. And actually, no, it was until I actually had her. I set a goal because eventually I was doing these live videos and people were like, where's the replay for that video you talked about? And I'm like, I don't know. You're going to have to look through the Facebook group. And so that's why I started my podcast, so that they could easily find the episodes they were looking for. And then I set a goal to record 100 podcasts before I had our 5th baby. Did that. And then I had to figure out what my consistency after having a baby was going to be. And I decided it to be written posts on Facebook, writing email sequences. And at that point, I had created the courses. I was clear on my messaging. And so my action became marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing, collaborations, networking, other actions too, that as your business grows, you start to have to change things, hiring help, hiring people to make better quality, better quality podcasts, things like that.
But I think one of the biggest takeaways, and it's consistent with some other things I've been thinking about and also studying lately, but your points that you're making that I want to try to tease out of what you just said when you were talking about consistency, you also alluded to it earlier in the conversation, and that's removing things from your life versus adding things to your life. And it seems like it's the foundation of your motherhood. Well, hold on a second. Dave's having a brilliant moment here. Motherhoodsimplified.com. Holy shit. I think we found out where I grabbed my clue. But man, I can tell from your words also that this is not just something, it's not a domain name that you bought. It's a way that you operate. And it's also clear that with 5 kids, to be sitting here sane and look like you're well rested as you do and so forth, you have to be using some strategies. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is my takeaway from my conversation with you today, is that both in your parenting strategies as well as your marketing strategies, it's really about what can I continue to take away that can declutter, clear out my business, and where I can find what can I do as far as your marketing anyway. Let's just talk about that. What can I do that I will be able to commit to doing every day or on a regular basis and cut all the other shit out? Just and you could even play with it and say, oh, I'm going to take this out too. And then you take it out and it actually, you miss it. And then you realize, oh, I better put that back. But I bet your experience with yourself and your clients is that you keep taking away things out of the if somebody's got kid, but also you'll take things out of your business and realize I really didn't need that. Am I accurate here?
Yeah. And do you know what we just did for this whole conversation? We just like wrote a whole page and then we got to the end of the page and we're like, oh, that's what I was, that's the point of what I was going to say. But yeah, that's exactly what I do with everything in a home. You declutter the stuff that's in your way, that's making your day harder. It's making your life as a parent. It's for dads too, but I'm a mom, so I speak for moms or with moms.
Well, this dad's not dumb. He takes and learns wherever he can learn from.
Yeah.
Believe me, because it is not a game. It is war. When I walk into that house sometimes, man, I got to be on my P's and Q's. I got to be fully suited with all my armor of tools and resources so I can, what do I want to do? I want to be the best dad that is not affected that's not angry or frustrated by all these other cluttering bullcrap things around. And then I end up taking it out on my kids. I understand the value of that. And it's the same. I mean, I see it happen in my business too. I'll have too many things going on. And then guess what suffers? The thing that I really love and the thing that really needs my attention. And so I think a lot of us are looking for what's the secret strategy? What's the secret routine? What are you doing that I'm not doing? And what's this? The secret is it's what you're not doing.
Yes,
That
I do
I
not
am
do a
doing.
lot of things. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. And there's a thing that we say, well, I'll talk about it from the business and the home perspective, but one of them is get rid of the stuff in your home that makes it hard to love your family, right? Because like you said, these messes drive us crazy and then we take it out on the people instead of taking out on the stuff. Like get rid of the pointless stuff. That stuff doesn't have feelings that people do. But the same is
Totally.
true the same is true in your business. Like for moms and parents too, for parents, you want a business that supports your life and your parenthood journey, not a parenthood journey that feels like it's in the way of your business. So yeah, it's always about getting rid of whatever it is that you don't have to do. And your messaging supports that, because if you can get so clear on your messaging, that creates everything that is important. It creates your emails, it creates your sales pages, it creates your courses, it creates everything that is important. That's really all you need. And then you just have to say it to people. That's it. That's the secret.
I know, and I've watched a lot of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger the last couple of months, just trying to educate myself more and more by just listening to guys who have lived to be 90 and 98 and are so rich and so old that they don't give a shit anymore, and they're just two of the only human beings left in this world that are just spitting just straight facts, at least the way they see them. And it's the same principles that they talk about that you're talking about right now. It's removing the clutter. It's simplifying. It's not getting, one of the things that I always tell our clients and students is, if there was a secret and I want it and existed or what, look, I've sold them all. I've bought them all. In my 12-year career, I've seen the gutters of the internet and I've seen the top of the mountain. And you know what? I just choose to just not participate in any of it, because what I've realized is all the glitz and glamour, all the fame, all the, you know what, the just the trash and the flash.
Yeah.
None of it matters. I mean, I had a company before, we were doing events every, 90 days for 4,000 people. I mean, look, you might be the man for that 15 minutes on the stage, but when you get off that stage and you and your wife are about to get a divorce, your life sucks. Your life, I hated moments of my life because I had too much shit going on. My ego, I had all this crap. And what I needed to do was I needed to reset and start over and do what I wanted to do and do what I love to do and only do that. And really go through a season of saying no and going through a season of removing and decluttering and focusing back on what's important. And that is loving people, using things. And that's the same philosophy that we teach here in Legendary. Don't get all emotional about your platform, about Facebook, about if they kicked you off, or don't be like, oh, did I do something? No, it's just an algorithm. Just focus on self-care here and focus on loving and supporting your family, especially if you want to start a business. That doesn't mean that my family needs to say time out and stop their life so they can support me. I actually, if I want to be a leader entrepreneur, I need to step up my game and I need to figure out how I can, and as a man, this was a breakthrough, go to my wife and say, I'm about to start a business, honey. How can I make you feel more loved and supported as I'm doing something that, not go to her and be like, you know what? I don't feel a lot of support from you lately since I've started my business. I mean, come on, folks. If you can't sell your wife, you can't sell your husband, you can't persuade and influence them. You think anybody else is going to follow you? So this basic stuff, and that's why I like Buffett and Munger. That's why I like the principles you're talking about, because they're not flash and trash. It's not all the crap that the latest guru. We went through this thing in right before the pandemic where, e-commerce was taken off and drop shipping, and everybody was into all this stuff like it was a casino, like it was a gambling parlor. And you know what? We teach the core for it, selling courses, coaching, and events, or being an affiliate selling other people's information. But it's selling information. And I've been doing and using that model for 10 years. And it worked all through the pandemic, and it's still working now. Why? Because it's just a timeless thing that's always worked. And your strategies that you teach are timeless. They've always worked, and they always will work. And so the message to our entrepreneurs and marketers this morning is the same thing. It might look like, oh man, that grass over there is so green. And then you get there and it's like, God bless it. That's artificial turf. Damn it. That's not even real grass. I want to go back over where it's real. And so then we start to, and this is what a lot of marketers do. We go out, we play the field, we get involved in all the different things and 1,000 mentors and all this shit. And then eventually we come back and say, you know what we were learning and in some of the basic stuff that I thought was too boring at the beginning is actually, I think, where I need to focus my time, and then just put in the time, things I must earn. And with that time, it's taking the third principle of the all famous show Survivor, which is outwit, outplay, but outlast, right? Outlast. And a lot of times when you look at Munger or Buffett, what did those guys do? They didn't use anything that was wildly complicated, Krista, or anybody. They didn't have a seat. You know what they did? They outlasted all the other, flash in trash, here today, gone tomorrow, whack jobs. And they're just so. Tell us in ending, where do you see all this going? I mean, it's cool now and it's helped you to transition from, going into a classroom and being a teacher, which by the way is a absolutely wonderful profession. Too bad they don't pay you about 10 times more than they do. But what now? Where are you going with all this? And where do you imagine that your life would be if you hadn't have started this when you did?
Ooh, good question. So I see myself continuing it the way that I have already because it's so simple. Um, and I can sustain it that way. I can sustain the community very simply. I believe in it so strongly because I do have a big passion. I always have. That's why I was in teaching for families, for kids, for parents, for mothers, especially, and supporting mothers. And so I will keep doing this. And I will keep doing that. And then I also want to branch off into teaching anybody how to simplify their businesses. It's not something that I do, very new to it, but I love so thank you for having me here because this is, I think, part of doing what I did with Motherhood Simplified is like communicating the message and
Yeah.
reaching people and then figuring out how to like support people in that way too, because we're in a society and we're in an economy where I think being an entrepreneur is almost essential for self-sustainability.
Should I just
Oh,
spill my drink? What you said was so damn powerful. I spilled my drink for Christmas. No, seriously, I really just what you just said. No, that was a powerful statement, and I really I've never heard anybody say that before, and I think that's so true. People need to have entrepreneurial skills to survive nowadays.
Yeah, whether it's a side hustle to supplement, I think it can be if you do it in a simple way, right? If you and it's all trial and error, but I think if you can do it in a simple way where you're just doing what you have to do to get through, it's deeply fulfilling, right? Because like I said, I love my work. I love Motherhood Simplified. I will keep doing it. But I think it's a great way to build sustainable families as well with flexibility, with if you have a lot of kids, like finding childcare is very difficult. Like if I can help other people start to either plant an idea in their head of what's possible for them, maybe show them some steps along the way, I would love that. I would love that too. So that's where I see myself going. I don't know what exactly that looks like, but
I do.
if I hadn't started, you do. I know you do. This is where you are.
Right. You know where I'm going with parenting. I know where you're going with your marketing and your business.
Yeah.
Or at least
And
what's
if I hadn't
possible.
started it, if I hadn't started it when I started it, I don't know that it would be the same topic of like decluttering, which is like, to me, I'm always like, I teach decluttering. Like that sounds weird. It's so much more than that. But I would have figured out some way to still do it, whether it was through, pregnancy, which was one of the things, should I be a midwife? Should it be a doula? Like,
There's
what
we
should
had
I
we had
do?
midwives, we had doulas, and I'm going to tell you something. They changed our life. They changed our birth experience, and you're just naming off niches and topics that people can could get into. And you're right, you could have got into any of those. And the beautiful thing is nowadays it's more profitable to sell picks and shovels to the people doing the job than it is to do the job itself. It's more profitable to show people how to do it better, how to get more leads, how to how to grow their business, than it is to actually be the plumber. What would you rather do? Would you rather be down? I can remember going with one of my plumber friends, and we got down in the back of a takeout Chinese food restaurant that the grease trap had overflowed. We were down in the manhole, and I had a spiritual awakening. As I had my boots down in the sewer, and I'm in everything under the sun that you don't want to be in. I had a spiritual awakening. Me and God had a conversation, and I said, well, thanks for showing me this, pal. This ain't what I want to do with my life. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'd rather sell the picks and shovels. I'd rather show the plumber how to grow his business, how to get more leads for his business. And what does that do? It two things get accomplished, right? I don't have to do plumbing and hang out in sewers, and he loves me because I'm helping him grow his business. If there is a secret, folks, you've landed on it and you just don't know that you have it yet. You know what I mean? Because the secret is is that if you can figure out how to sell courses, coaching, or events, or be an affiliate marketer. And I say those because that's what I teach. I don't know e-com. I don't know how long that's going to be around. I don't know if I can compete with Amazon, anything, but I know I can compete with you, Krista. I know I can compete with the other individual who's creating a course on whatever. And I ironically can also compete with colleges. Actually, people like my education more than they like their college education. So I also know that I can compete with them.
Mhm.
But yeah, the yes, you need entrepreneurial skills nowadays to succeed, and to get ahead. Let me say it that way. You need
Yeah.
entrepreneurial skills nowadays to get ahead. If you want to get ahead, yeah, you either need to hustle, and you need to have hustle with a side hustle, meaning that you need to go out and drive Uber for 8 hours a day after you work 8 hours a day at your job, or you need to have an entrepreneurial skill that you can get in, preferably not one that's like a gambling parlor where you're thinking that you're running a business when you're really just buying and selling crypto. But that's for another
Oh yeah.
lesson. I don't want to keep you too,
Yeah.
because you know what? Hey, you actually got things to do with your day in life, probably more than I do. So I don't want to keep you too long. But golly, this has been absolutely just so valuable and so wonderful. And I hope that some of our community members, clients, and so forth come and learn from you as well. And you can help us maybe a little bit with simplifying our motherhood, and maybe some of us fathers even sneak. Do you weed out guys? Like if a guy comes to join your group, is it a female only group?
Nope, dads are welcome. We don't
Really?
get many of them. Yeah, we don't. At the beginning, when I first started, I kind of felt out the community to see like, do you guys want dads in here? Like, what do you guys want? And for a little while, everybody wanted it just moms, because I had started with my core group of friends and we were doing like postpartum things and
Yeah,
decluttering
understandable.
things.
Totally.
And as it's grown, they're like, yes, we would love to have dads in here to like get their opinions on things. And we would also like to know that dads want to help us with this, because
Mm,
it it's changing. But a
yeah.
lot of it still falls on the moms. And then there's single dads. There are dads who want to know how to do this. There are dads who want to support the mothers in their life, whether they're married or not. So yeah, dads are welcome.
Well, that's fantastic. We've had your information up, so people know where to find you. Your Motherhood Simplified Facebook group, and then
Mhm.
motherhoodsimplified.com. And hey, man, be legendary. Tell your husband
Yeah.
I said hello, even though he's not here. He doesn't seem to be a part of this business. You're the sole face of it and the sole kind of operator. Is there anybody else who? Are you still a solopreneur in this business, by the way?
Kind of. I have had contractors on and off. I'm still kind of in growing pain phases with that, because like I said, I had babies right at the beginning of 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and then we moved across the country. And so it's just been slower. And so I've hired people to help me fill those gaps. And like I said, this year has been all about like dialing in my sales processes, my sales pages, my messaging, my marketing, all
Hmm.
of that, so I can get it robust and running and hire somebody. I want my husband to come in and do Fatherhood Simplified, because I'm like, man, there's a lot of need for dad support. I can support dads, but it
Totally.
would be great if there was like a dad supporting the other dads.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure, for sure. But man, wow, never underestimate the power of speaking to both mothers and fathers, and never underestimate your potential. And I know you know that, and you found that out. But there's examples. Matthew Hussey is a guy who speaks to women in the dating and relationship niche, and there's other examples of people who speak to the opposite sex. But yeah, I feel your vision, and I hope it works out for you. As an entrepreneur early in my career, I had a vision for my wife and how she was going to participate in my business, and it didn't work out that way. It worked out differently. Actually, it worked out in a way that I prefer that it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work out. But each journey is different and unique.
yeah. Oh, geez. There's so many more things we could talk about, because this is kind of where we're at too with like, what are our, like, how are we going to move forward with this? Like, I want him in more. I don't want to be somebody who's like, I'm going to retire my husband. I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. Like, I know that type, or I've heard that message from people before. Women want to retire their husband. It's very generous. But
Yes.
yeah, why don't you come back for a second episode and we can talk about that and continue to introduce people to your community and if there's any other way that I can help you with your your offers or your messaging. I think we've teased a little bit out today to see how similar the value that you offer in the motherhood space can translate over into the marketing or business space. But if I ever do consult with anybody or offer my opinion, I do it now live, just right here on the show for free. And we do this every day. Actually, we have a client in our own community on the show every day. But 5 days a week, every single day, we have a successful client. And so I'd love to have you back and we can keep talking about your business and you can keep showing us what you're up to and how you're, taking these strategies and using them in a totally cool and unique niche and doing it in a unique way. So thanks for your time today. And we'll let you get back to your 5 kids and your business and your husband and how you're doing it and making it all simple. That's what we want to know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is a really good time.
Yeah, we'll definitely follow up. I'd love to talk to you again and be legendary, stay legendary, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. See you, Krista. All right, my friends, what a powerful conversation. What a really, really cool example of somebody who's using these simple principles. Man, they're not complicated. You just can really make them complicated if you try. But they're so simple and they work in nearly every niche across the marketplace. And it's just, how do you make them work? The how. Instead of finding out the how, there's a guy named Dan Sullivan. He runs another business consulting group and community called Strategic Coach. He wrote a book called Who, Not How. And sometimes it's about finding out how, but a lot of times it's finding out who can help you, right? Who is the person who can help you? And that, with that philosophy, people become really valuable and you take a lot of the stress off of your own shoulders because you don't always need to find out the how. That's one of the reasons why we have the education that we have, because we've happened to be the who for a lot of folks out there who figured out how through our courses. And so it's always cool to find somebody out there who's been doing this for a while and show you that these are strategies that work and have worked for a really, really long time all around the world. And so join us here tomorrow for another episode. I want to thank Krista from Motherhood Simplified for coming on and delivering so much value today. It's really incredible. Speaking of, if you're brand new, we've got some, we recently had a massive, accomplishment by becoming the 63rd fastest education company that's privately held in America. We were part of the Inc. 5000 2022, and it was a real honor to be a part of that. So we may or may not have some cool stuff coming up in the actual magazine itself. We'll let you know about that. And make sure that you listen and know about the fact that we have this show on our podcast and on our YouTube channel, as well as on this page itself. In case you ever want to come and catch any of the replays, you can do so. With that being said, have a great day. Be legendary. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Get out of here. Peace.